Can a handful of soldiers defeat a massive army of tens of thousands? Sounds like a legend, but that's exactly what happened at Mogilev. When 200 Polish Hussars stood against Ivan the Terrible's army, the outcome seemed inevitable. Yet something no one expected took place. In this video, you'll discover how the Poles not only saved the city, but also shocked the Tsar himself. Want to know more about one of the most underrated battles in history? Stay with us and uncover the secrets that shook 16th century Europe. The Battle of Mogilev. A handful of Hussars versus Ivan the Terrible's army. Did you know that the Polish Hussars were like a super weapon on horseback? Well, at Mogilev in the 16th century, they proved just what they were capable of. What? Never heard of this battle? That's a shame, because it's one of those lesser-known clashes that clearly show how a few hundred Polish soldiers managed to defend themselves against a tens of thousands strong Russian army. Yes, you heard that right. It's like sending a local amateur team to play against Barcelona and winning. But let's break it down. What really happened at Mogilev? And what did Poland gain from this battle? The Battle of Mogilev. The odds were stacked against them. The battle took place on June 27, 1581, during the Polish-Russian War over Livonia. King Stephen Bathory had already defeated the Russians in several key engagements, but Ivan the Terrible wasn't ready to back down. He sent 30,000 men into Lithuania to secure the region before Bathory could march on Pskov. Sounded simple, right? Sure, except they encountered one small problem: the Polish Hussars. Poland had just 514 soldiers in the area, of which 200 were Hussars. The rest were light cavalry, including petty horsey and Cossacks. The Russian numerical advantage? Absolutely massive. They outnumbered the Poles by a staggering 58-1. They must have thought victory was guaranteed, probably assuming the Hussars were outright insane for even standing their ground. I'll repeat that. For every Polish soldier, there were 58 Russians. Can you imagine? But as this battle proved, numbers aren't everything. It's not just about how many troops you have, it's about how you fight. Armed with their famous lances and sabers, the Hussars were like the Thors of medieval warfare. Deadly, fast, and nearly unstoppable. The challenges of the battle. Fighting a giant picture. This. You're in a city surrounded by 30,000 enemy troops, determined to burn everything in their path. That was the reality for Mogilev's defenders. The Russians set fire to the suburbs and began advancing on the city itself. Defeat seemed inevitable. But fortunately for the Poles, they had a secret weapon: Lieutenant Markowski and his Hussars. The Hussars knew how vital Mogilev's defense was, strengthening their resolve to fight. The Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, gearing up for a larger campaign against Russia, needed to boost morale and hold strategic points. The legendary reputation of the Hussars also had a psychological effect on the Russians, whose troops, despite their overwhelming numbers, couldn't break through the Polish defense. On June 27th, the Russian army attacked the city's outskirts, setting them ablaze before advancing toward the main fortifications. However, their attempts to breach the city's defenses failed because Polish marksmen secured key positions. The Russians then tried to burn the city itself, but at a critical moment, reinforcements arrived. A Hussar banner under the command of Martin Kazanovsky. This allowed the defenders to successfully repel the attack. Cut down the Muscovites and don't let them near the city. This was Lieutenant Markowski's order, and that's exactly what they did for 7 hours of fierce fighting, until finally the Russians cracked. Remember when I said numbers don't mean everything? Here's the proof. What did Poland gain from this battle? First, Mogilev was saved. The city was a crucial stronghold, and its fall would have given the Russians a clear path into the Grand Duchy of Lithuania. Moreover, the battle proved that even when outnumbered, the Polish forces could hold their ground, raising morale among both the army and the local population. But that's not all. This battle shattered Russian confidence. Imagine planning a swift and easy victory, only to be utterly crushed by a small Polish force that doesn't even let you near the city walls. Rumors spread among Russian ranks that it wasn't just the Hussars, but the entire Polish army coming to Mogilev's aid. And what did the Russians do? They panicked and fled across the Dnieper River. And what about Krzysztof Radziwiłł and his Cossack unit? Do you think they just sat back and defended their positions?
Not a chance!
They chased down the fleeing Russians, cutting them down along the way. The Muscovites quickly stopped worrying about taking the city and started fearing for their own lives. They suffered a crushing defeat that they wouldn't forget for years. The result? Mogilev was defended, Russia was weakened, and the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth secured yet another key victory in the war. How did the Hussars change the course of the battle? At Mogilev, 200 Hussars demonstrated why they were called the best heavy cavalry in the world. They fought in open terrain, where they could fully exploit their greatest advantage, speed and momentum. Once the Hussars charged, the enemy had little chance of escape. They smashed through Russian cavalry formations, and their heavy lances broke enemy lines with sheer force. The Russians had a massive army, but as is often the case, numbers don't always equal quality. Their cavalry was well organized, but stood no chance in a direct clash with the Hussars. The Hussars' long lances, superior armor, and unmatched battlefield experience gave them the edge. Additionally, they fought in tight formations, ensuring maximum impact in frontal engagements. They punched through enemy lines with overwhelming force. Imagine standing on the battlefield, watching hundreds of armored horsemen charging straight at you, each one capable of shattering a shield with a single thrust. Terrifying, right? Add to that the rumors that a full royal army was marching in, and Russian morale sank like a stone. The aftermath, a battle to be remembered. The victory at Mogilev became the stuff of legend. Lieutenant Markowski and his Hussars gained lasting fame. Markowski himself reported the victory to the king, and eyewitness accounts, such as those from nobleman Hołowczyński and priest Jan Piotrowski, highlight the bravery of the Polish troops. Hołowczyński wrote that the Russians almost breached the city, but thanks to God's help and the soldiers' valor, the Commonwealth repelled the attack. Piotrowski, on the other hand, recalled that the Russians arrived 30,000 strong, with Tatars and Cossacks in their ranks, but the Polish Hussars held them back. He even noted that although the Hussars and other units lost many horses, not a single Polish soldier fell in battle, a truly remarkable feat for the time. The Battle of Mogilev is a testament to how strategy and courage can outweigh sheer numbers. The Russians were certain of victory, yet the Hussars proved that the larger army doesn't always win. And most importantly, this victory reinforced the reputation of the Polish Hussars as an unstoppable cavalry force. Even though 514 Poles faced thousands of Russians, they emerged victorious without suffering major losses. Sometimes a small, determined force can make all the difference. That was a thrilling breakdown of the Battle of Mogilev. If you weren't a fan of the Polish Hussars before, I bet you are now. That's all for today, but don't go just yet. I have another video lined up for you. See you next Saturday, and thanks for watching.